Today's lesson was over rational exponents, and the word rational simply just means fractional. So this is an example of a term with a rational exponent. So this part, the m over n, is my rational exponent because it is a fraction and it is an exponent. And as before, whatever the exponent is attached to, which in this case is a, is going to be my base. And we can rewrite rational exponents as such as a to the m divided by n as the nth root of a to the m power. If you can remember the phrase T-bow, it will help you remember it'll help you remember where everything goes. Remember the top goes inside and the bottom goes outside. So it's top in, bottom out. And that's referring to the top of M going inside. So the top goes inside and the bottom of N going outside. So the bottom is outside. So top in, bottom out. So if I needed to rewrite x to the 3/4 in radical form or in root form, then that would become the 4th root of x to the 3rd power. And if I wanted to write 3x to the 1/2 in root form, that would be the square root of x, 3x to the 1st. And notice that, or recall that you do not have to write either the 2 or the 1 as an exponent. 1 is understood, so that doesn't have to be there. And as a root, 2 is understood, so this would be the same thing as the square root of 3x. And if I had 3, the 3rd root of x to the 5th, I could rewrite that as x to the 5/3 power. And if I had the square root of 7, remember if there isn't a root here, it's an understood 2, so I could rewrite this as x to the 7/2 power. When I have fractional exponents or rational exponents, they work the same way as regular exponents. So if I'm multiplying, I need to add my exponents. Remember, my bases don't change. So that's 3 to the 1/2 plus 3/2, which 1/2 plus 3/2 is 4/2. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this is really 3 squared, which works out to actually be 9. And if I have a division problem, just like before, I need to subtract my exponents. So there's the x to the 2/3 is bigger, so I'm going to keep it on top. So it'll be 2/3 minus 1/3, which is over 1, which is x to the 1/3. And I can't do anything else with that, but I could also rewrite that as the cube root of x. And your exponent rules are: the word name will help you remember what they are. So exponents to exponents, remember you multiply. If you're multiplying, you add. If you're dividing, you subtract. And if you're adding or subtracting, you do nothing to the exponent. Remember, these are your exponent rules. These rules do not apply to your coefficients. And lastly, remember that your bases do not change. Your bases are never, ever, ever going to change. So if you were given this problem where you have to find the width of a rectangle, given that it has an area of 12x to the 3rd y to the 5th and a length of 4x squared y. Well, remember the area of a rectangle is equal to the length times the width. So if I'm looking for the width, that means I need to solve my equation for w. Well, to get rid of my w that's multiplied, I have to do the opposite of multiplying, which is to get rid of my L that's multiplied, I have to do the opposite of that, which is divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by L. So that tells me that my width is going to equal my area divided by my length. Well, I know my area is 12x cubed, y to the 5th. And my length was 4x squared y. That y doesn't have an exponent, so I'm going to put a 1 there. When I divide, remember I subtract my exponents. My numbers here, my 12 and 4, I'm still going to divide those, and it's going to give me 3. My exponents, I have more x's on top, so I'm going to do 3 minus 2 on top. And I have more y's on top, so that's going to be 5 minus 1 on top. So really, I don't even need my denominator. but I could go ahead and put a 1 there if you wanted to. And then to simplify that, well, we would just combine our exponents. So 3 minus 2 gives us x to the first. 5 minus 1 gives us y to the fourth. And remember, you don't actually have to write this 1 here. This 1 is completely optional. So you could also write this as 3x y to the fourth. And that would be your width of your rectangle.